Hey everyone, welcome to Founders 365 with me, Steven Haggerty. Today,
Hello.
I'm joined by Mr. Dein Moore, founder of Eon Black Creative. How are you today, Dane?
Hi, Stephen. Thanks for having me and everyone who's listening. Yes, I'm doing just fine. Have a lot more free time than usual, but I suppose anything we can do right now to keep ourselves active is a good thing.
For sure. Are you based in London?
Yes, I am. I'm in East London, so Stratford,
Amazing.
actually, if you want.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you at least have a balcony or garden?
We have a garden, we have a balcony.
Yeah,
Yeah, we have a few things that we can,
good.
exploit this whole sunny situation going on
Exactly.
outside
I
with.
feel so
Yeah.
bad for those people that have like no garden, no balcony, barely can open a window. It's
Oh,
it
yeah.
must be horrible.
Or sharing a cupboard, like, somewhere in central London somewhere.
Yeah,
Yeah.
paying like £1,200 and getting a broomstick.
Exactly.
It's landlord rent. So, anyway, Dane, listen. Tell me all about Eon Black Creative, what you guys do, who you support, and we can get into the story about how you formed it, where it came about, and all that kind of good stuff.
Oh, sure thing. So Eon Black Creative is a creative agency. That's what we are. We mainly work within digital marketing and events. Obviously, events not being something we can do currently at the moment, but we try to tie pretty much everything we do all together in one ultimate package. So usually taking the lead with what we do digitally. So that's promotion of products or promotion with other clients or fellow influencers or DJs, musicians, people that usually do things on our events. We sell them that way, put them into the event itself, but we also create all the assets across everything. So that includes doing all the production, all the video promotion, all the animation stuff if needed. If we need logos or decorations, we handle absolutely everything ourselves, including venue hire and drinks as well.
Wow.
So we have actually partnered with a few people. Well, it kind of makes sense from a business standpoint if you really think about it. If you can control every aspect of something, then that all becomes something that you can sell,
For
so
sure.
we have partnerships. Actually, I probably should give them a shout out. This is Padre Azul Tequila. It's actually a Schwarzenegger family investment. Yeah, it's a super premium one, and it's actually very highly rated. So they've been helping us with a lot.
That is
and
possibly the coolest bottle I've ever seen.
Oh yeah, cool. Well, I'm glad to be associated with them and everything.
Yeah.
It's been a ride.
Good
But
man.
yes, our aim is to create just very interesting campaigns, very interesting events for any client that we currently have. So whether that's in a digital marketing space or a blog or vlog space, or more specifically in events, just to showcase exactly what we can do for them. That's our interest. That's where we are.
Yeah. It sounds like you're really focusing on that creativity side of the marketing, which is great. But marketing in itself, like the marketing industry, is super noisy, right? It's super busy. Yeah. How do you make sure that you set yourself apart and still be able to offer the value and, let's face it, still make money that is probably in quite a competitive market?
Yeah, as you said, we're in an interesting space and time right now because literally anyone that has a smartphone can do some level of marketing.
Yeah.
All the tools are there for you to be able to use that across Facebook, Instagram, like even TikTok now, which has been a big growing thing. You're allowed to kind of just sponsor your own content and push it out there yourself. But the difference is we have a more directed form to that because, well, we studied it. It's very helpful to have that level of knowledge behind us. So more specifically for us, what makes us different to anyone else is that, like I said, we run our own events. We put on our own things and we create all the content going from the beginning point of concept. So whether that's design of product or design of marketing assets, whether that's videos or animations, anything else like that, and we scale it straight up to entertainment. So booking all the acts, all the DJs, music, whatever else that we need for that event specifically, including decorations, we have people that we associate with or direct staff ourselves that handle every aspect of that. So fantastic. Yeah, that's what makes us different. From top to bottom, we can control literally everything.
Complete 360 control.
Complete 360 control. Yeah. Well, hopefully we'll get to a position where we have our own venue and stuff like that. But right now we have the flexibility to work with different brands as long as we can bring them in and they allow us to kind of have some creative influence on what they want to push out there. Then that's where our ambitions lie, and that's what makes us different. Is that
do you often get pushback on that then in terms of allowing that creativity?
Oh, absolutely, all the time. because they have their own marketing directives, they have their own ideas as to how they
Yeah.
want their brands to be represented. But let me take Padres for example, the tequila. We had an opportunity with Red Bull where they happened to be doing an event in that same week in the same place that we were. So I figured, well, what would be a good idea is if they didn't have any drinks that could pair with their cocktail menu, we could literally do that.
Mm-hmm.
And if we can organize with the staff to make something happen, then that makes co-marketing across both brands, right? So we actually did a couple of things with the London Cabaret Club between Red Bull and us. And now they kind of help us out with other events as well. So yes, resistance at first, but if they see the idea or the ultimate goal that they could actually open up other places for them to be, even if they weren't thinking about it, it's something we can do.
Amazing. Well done on that. That sounds awesome. Let's take it back then in terms of how you came up with Eon Black Creative. What were you doing beforehand? And what was that moment you thought, you know what, I'm going to go for this. I'm going to create this brand. I'm going to create this business, and I'm going to fulfill these creativity needs that I can see in the market?
Oh, sure. So I have been a musician for a long time. So that kind of opened my eyes in terms of what you could do and who you could connect with, especially with how creatively artists work with bigger brands or brand association or promotions that they do online. At the time when I would have been writing for other artists, that would have been a young industry, social media marketing. So that kind of was the core of where everything came from. There's a popular DJ. Well, he's super popular now. He wasn't popular at the time, but his name's Jax Jones, and we did a lot of his work. So a lot of his early assets of to how he marketed himself online now represents the way he does his videos with animations or stuff like that that captures people's imagination. He really was the core of what gave me the idea of what we could do as a company. So before that, I ended up working for a lot of startups, varying from very small to Job Today, which became a very big company in the end, and kind of bouncing around with different big tech firms as well. So done some work with LinkedIn. I was doing some work with them for about 2 years, and that really opened my eyes in terms of what we could do from a very small scale, because they're a very big scale company. So we could literally take those ideas and shrink them to a point where it's like, okay, if we specialize these one or two things, then we could have a space where chances are we don't have to pay for anything if the brand is already paying to use the venue or something else like that to do a promotion. If we add our creative elements on top and offer them a better price than they would be getting from some other big firm that's doing exactly the same thing, then we have a space for us to showcase what we can do without actually adding, too much expense to ourselves. And then, of course, eventually scaling that to the point where we take over completely. So I had a business partner that we started 2 years ago. Unfortunately, that didn't really work out. But again, it just planted the seed of what we could do.
For sure.
And now I'm at a point now where I created my own company and have my own staff from the same team that we had. The past company was called Stat Media. Now we're Eon Black Creative. And this one is just purely just creative. So anything that we can do in any creative space, that's what kind of created it. And yeah, just exploring the ideas of, videos, animations, events, everything else, tying them all together.
Yeah.
Plus now having our own drink brands on board with us as well. That really gave us the kick to just really push us going, because nobody else is doing something like that.
Yeah.
So the fact that we are allowed to do it, it made it worth it. So that's the idea.
It's definitely a different approach from what a lot of other people are doing, which is great. How is it that you as a business owner stay on top of those, like your own creativity? Because it's one thing being creative for your clients, but what about when it comes to being creative within Eon Black Creative, making sure that your brand stays on point, stays creative in itself, and moves forward just like you would be working with a client?
So these are things that you learn over time, and we're still learning now. There's no real playbook as to how this should work. But for us specifically, what separated Eon Black from Stat Media that came before it was the slogan of special things only. So, I mean, if you think about those words together, it doesn't really make much sense. But if you apply that to, someone that wants to come and talk to you to be represented by your company, then it makes a lot of sense, because they know they have to think of themselves in a certain way before they even contact you by email. So for me personally, that was the thing that basically separated us from anyone else. Because even though we're a small team, we can attract people that think of themselves in terms of quality, that think of themselves in terms of being very proud of what they develop or what they do. And they they want to work with someone else that basically has the same mentality towards their branding as well.
Yeah.
So just specializing in that area of quality and the perception of what that means, especially to other people on the outside or whoever you're trying to advertise to or whoever you're trying to attract as a customer, that really is what separated us from everyone else.
Yeah. How does it feel when you go when you're working with a client and you deliver those amazing events? It's a success. And how does it feel when you're going home that evening and you've delivered an amazing event for a client?
Oh, well, it's indescribable, isn't it? It's I mean, I don't want to say it feels that way in the Premier League, but it's
Hey man,
it
own
is
it,
a pretty...
own it. If that's what it is, just own that space.
No, it really is indescribable, but it's a very amazing feeling to have, especially when you get a really big client. Last year we did Lamborghini's Christmas party in association with Monkey House, and the team there, they really helped us a lot with how we developed the whole thing because they knew what we could do. So the fact that they would have been consider us as a small company with 5 employees only, it's regardless of what Lamborghini could afford, because really they can afford anyone. So the fact that they considered us was such a big ego booster, I guess you could say, as to what we could go for and what we could, or who we could approach after that. Yeah. So just seeing a lot of people coming down and seeing all of your ideas working and seeing everyone being, fascinated by the stuff that you do. We created some custom animations of their cars on the event and with their logo, and it was like, it was projected onto the walls. So just seeing people being impressed by that and taking pictures, like even if they didn't know that specifically you did it, they just see you as another guest.
Yeah.
That really makes me, that's the best feeling in the world. Is just seeing people appreciate what you do. Yeah.
Yeah. That is super impressive. And I completely know what you mean when you do work and people react to it. And I quite like the disconnect that people don't really know it's you. And you're just like, yeah, nailed that, which is great. In terms of what you want to do with this business, Eon Black Creative, I feel like you want to take over the world with it, which is incredible. But what do you want to do other than this current situation, which kind of puts everyone on a weird pause / semi not pause after all of this passes and the new normal that we are moving into? What are you going to do with this business?
So yeah, this is the tricky question because I mean, still that would be the most ideal situation, of course. But before the lockdown happened, we were crushing it. Like we're doing really, really well. We're coming off the back of doing a Brits after party, actually. So I went to the Brit Awards. I did a Brits after party with my team at the Wellington Club, and another associate. His name is Riz. He does his own events as well. And that went really well. That was like 400 plus people just losing their minds and, just having such a great time doing that. So to go from that to doing absolutely nothing was such a massive drop. But yeah, we still have things in place. Right now, we're focusing mostly on digital. I'm really hoping that we get back to doing events again because I really do miss it. I miss connecting with people on that level and seeing them enjoy themselves and not having to be worried about restrictions or how do you approach people. So that's going to be a big worry going into doing events for the next 6 months or so, depending on when things reopen.
When when things are back open and restrictions are lifted, do you think people are going to treat events very differently?
No, they're going to go crazy. I know that for sure. I know that for sure. I know that there is a big possibility that the first couple of things that we do are going to be so well attended and it's going to be insane. Purely because most of the big stuff has gone. So all the big players, all the big festivals, all the big parties that would have been competition for us are no longer there. And, we don't have to bring 10,000 people to something to make it a success. We don't have to pull in Glastonbury numbers to be able to do something well. So for us, there's a big opportunity here to really capitalize and give people something to do. But of course, health and safety is the main focus here. We don't need a second wave of this happening. So it's hard to say how people will treat things, but I know for sure as soon as it opens, we'll definitely see high traffic coming in.
People are itching to get out of the house now, right?
Oh, I feel it already. Like just my messages and phone calls.
How are you keeping yourself sane then? How are you keeping yourself sane at home, not being able to work on events? Because that's obviously such a passion of yours.
Oh, absolutely. So I am a musician still. Maybe not, practicing in terms of playing on stage and stuff, but, I definitely have my guitars here with me. I play video games as well, as you can see the background right there. So I've had both of those things to kind of keep me active and keep going.
Yeah.
But also we focus on digital marketing. So we haven't lost 100% of everything that we do.
Excellent.
It's definitely scaled back by about 80%, but it's still like we have some other things there to keep us busy. Yeah.
As a business owner, do you think you'll change anything after this? How you would do business normally?
Well, the events, as I was saying, that's definitely a big part of this. So we don't really know what's going to happen or when we can reopen for stuff or when we can really start get going with all these things again, because we really don't know. And it's a shame that we lean so heavily into this because, like I said, we've definitely had to scale everything back by about 80%. But luckily enough for us, we still have our staff. We don't have 50 people that we need to feed. So that's kind of been a benefit when it comes to this. We'll see what the government does in terms of actually assisting us. But so far, we've been fine. It's just a matter of, can we scale back? Will that make sense for us to do? Are we allowed to have an event with 100 people, 200 people, 500 people? Like, what are the limitations to that mitigate risk and make sure everyone will be fine? And what will be our procedures going forward with that stuff? Will we have to do our own testing at parties? That's something that we might have to consider as well, because we don't want anyone coming in that might potentially be sick. So yes, there's a lot to consider, but right now we're small enough where it won't really matter until it actually happens. So until we get more information coming in, then it's not something that we're really worried about.
And do you think the fact that you guys are a smaller company versus being a large one, has that put you off employing loads of people in the future, or is that now focusing you on actually, you know what, let's just keep this streamlined, let's keep us nimble, let's keep us adaptable?
No, so we were actively in the process of hiring people right before the lockdown happened, and obviously that's all been postponed now. So yes, it will definitely limit in terms of who we'll be talking to, but we've only hired with a purpose at the moment anyway, because we have to try and keep our quality up purely because of what our company is and who we talk to as clients. So anybody we try to bring on board it will definitely have to be up to the same caliber. So we won't be doing any internships anytime soon, if that's what you're asking.
Who's your dream client?
Sorry?
Who's your dream client? Who's that one client
who's my dream client
to work with?
Oh, wow.
You must have one. You must have a list.
Definitely have a list. So I think what would be really cool for us to do, more than having a dream client, I think what would be really cool for us to do is do our own music festival. That would be amazing. Nice. In terms of where we do it or how we do it, I'm not exactly sure, because those things can scale quite quickly depending on, who you get playing for you. If they have enough of an audience, people will come. But especially if things look like they might lift in the summer and the eases, like as in us doing events in the summer won't be a bad idea. It might be something worth looking into. But apart from that, dream client, maybe Gibson guitars. I would love to do something with them, or Ibanez or someone like that, and really showcase like guitarists, because there's not much space for them in especially in mainstream music at the moment. So it's something I'd love to bring back, if you will. Or if I could do something for Apple, that would be amazing. Like to have that on my CV somewhere, or a list of accomplishments to do an event for them would be really, really cool.
That'd be pretty cool.
I mean, they're doing fine by themselves, but
I mean, Apple are good. That I don't think they're struggling.
No, I don't think they are.
Although, to be fair, then you've got one argument, like, is Apple's marketing good, or have they just got loyal fans?
Well, they have me as a loyal fan. I won't lie to you. They've had for years. But I don't know. I think they've just streamlined it, really, haven't they? Like, they haven't really had to make much change. And I think people are just kind of numb to what they're seeing there. It's just this super glossy video that showcases the next product. So I don't think they care too much about
desire.
I don't think they care too much about the Steve Jobs model. As to how you do things. I think it's just now, well, this works, so let's just keep doing that. And every year they've been doing that.
I mean, it's like we said, it's working. They're sitting on a bucket load of cash, so it's they're doing it right.
Well, that would be very helpful. That would be very useful for them.
That'd be a great client
at some point.
But Dane, listen, one of my final questions to you is: if you saw a company that was struggling with their creativity, what would be some advice you could give them to get more creative, to help them connect with their fans or customers or clients in a better way?
Well, I think because That's a very good question, actually, because I think the mistake most people make now is you have so many tools out there that give you good looking things, but really it's just born from a template. So everyone's just kind of using what they have versus, you know, creating their own stamp on things. So you see a lot of things that look exactly the same. And, you know, even you have a lot of third party companies that just use the templates as well, because why not? It's been working. They look at what Apple is doing and they try to copy that. And then everyone else just kind of has the same looking thing. That stuff works for a big company, absolutely, because they can just throw money behind it. So at that point, having something that looks quality, even if it replicates the design or marketing of another big brand, it really doesn't matter because you have the money, the weight behind it to make sure it sells anyway. But for a small company, I would say find your identity. That's the most important thing. What are your interests? What do you want things to look like? What makes your video different from anybody else's thing? What makes your animations different from this? What makes your marketing different from this? You know, you need to have your own voice. I think that's the problem that most small companies have, is that they just take what they're given and they use the same thing for everyone else. So it just creates a problem where, just everything looks the same. So find identity, use that to your advantage, and then have a style that you can then replicate for other brands.
Perfect. Dane, listen, thank you so much for coming on. If anyone wants to get in touch with you, speak to you directly about Eon Black Creative, or just be connected to you, what's the best way for them to do that?
So I think business-wise, LinkedIn, of course. But you can have my personal profiles on Instagram or Facebook. So Dein Moore, Dein Moore, and Eon Black Creative as well. So AEON Black Creative on all platforms.
Good man. I like the way you
think we're the only one.
Think about that. Yeah, think about how to spell it.
Think about it.
Happens to us all, don't worry. It's
it's
good.
Great.
But no, Dane, listen, thank you so much for coming on. You've given so much value, and I'm really keen to see what you guys get up to after all this is over, and make sure you definitely send me an invite for your festival.
Oh, absolutely. I will definitely do that. Yeah. And good before I go, just one last shout out to Hans Peter from Padre Azul. Those guys have been very good to me. So, you know, will represent the brand going forward. You know, I really like what they're doing. And I think just on a personal note, not because they're a client of mine, this is actually pretty good. So give it a try to anyone that's willing to do it. Also to Peter and Martin, who are partners of mine. So, shout out to them.
Perfect. I love a good shout out. Cheers. Dane, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, Steven.
Thanks everyone for listening and watching. This has been Founders 365.
Cool.